Hola, estudiantes de Español 110. This is another Spanish lesson in English. This lesson here is 3.2, possessive adjectives, adjetivos posesivos. I took the background away because it was creating some artifacts in the finished video, so hope you don't mind the just plain Jane green screen background. All right, so a possessive adjective is a word that shows a relationship of possession between one object and another, or more frequently, one person and an object. These work quite a bit like they do in English in some ways, but they also have an important difference when it comes to how you make them agree. They're actually backwards in English from how they are in Spanish. So first of all, the forms are in your book on page 70, page 70, right up. Oh, there they are, right here in this yellow box. So just like when we first learned verb conjugations with pronouns, yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes, you need to do the same thing with possessive adjectives. So you get these. I'm going to do it a little bit differently from how they are in the book, and I'll say why in a second. All right, so that takes up a lot of the left half of the board, but that's totally fine. So we have 5 basic forms here: mi, tú, su, nuestro, su. And these correspond to the pronouns that you learned when we learned how to conjugate. Yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes. The reason they correspond is because they refer to first person, second person, third person, then first person again, and second and third person again. Now let's talk about how these are used. The example in the book is mi primo. We are learning words related to family, so that makes sense. But this is the example. Mis primos. So let's pause for a moment right here and see what's going on. We have my cousin, my cousins. So here's the important critical difference between English and Spanish. Namely, in English, possessive adjectives agree with the possessor. This is especially important in the case of third person because we have gender pronouns in English. He, she are the 2 main ones. But in Spanish, the possessive adjective actually agrees with the thing possessed. My cousins. Cousins is plural, so mis is mis. It has to be plural. Now this same thing is going to carry on down through the other possessive adjectives. So you get tus primos, sus primos, and then with this one, our, we also have gender. So it's nuestro primo, but if that cousin is female, then it's nuestra prima. I'm sorry, I didn't write that correctly. That should be primo right there and prima down here. And if we have multiple cousins, then that's when we might also need to make this plural. Nuestros primos, or nuestras primas if the entire set of cousins is female. And let's talk about something else that we have right here, which is the repetition of sus here and sus here. Since this can correspond to él, ella, or usted, and it can also correspond to ellos, ellas, or ustedes, it can mean quite a few things. And it becomes indefinite because it does not agree with those people. It agrees again with the thing possessed. Su primo, or sus, hopefully you can see what I'm writing there, primos. So it doesn't matter what it is, it must agree. And as you can see, one thing that I probably should have mentioned, although you can see it in all of these examples here, the possessive adjective always comes before the noun. In this case, there's an exact correspondence with English. My cousin, mi primo. So don't ever try to put it behind it, otherwise you're doing it wrong. So remember that. And let's talk a little bit about su and sus. Since these can both mean, well, together, su and sus can mean 6 different things, as I explained, it is a good idea to provide more information so that it's not ambiguous. For example, if I were to say something like, es su primo, to you, and that was the first thing that I'd said to you, you wouldn't know who I was talking about. So you might ask a question like, su primo? El primo de quién? Sorry, I had to squeeze that in there. That's quien, Q-U-I-E-A-N. Q-U-I-E-N, quien with a tilde on the E. Because it's ambiguous, you have to ask me or there's no way for you to know. And so then my response might be something like, el primo de Miguel. Oh, Miguel's cousin, el primo de Miguel. As we have learned, this is how you show possession in Spanish. You have to use de, and then whoever is doing the possessing. There is no apostrophe S in Spanish. You cannot say Miguel's primo. That makes absolutely no sense. Again, because of the ambiguity or just the differences in what these two can mean, there could be many possible responses that would also correspond. It could be, oh, el primo de ellos. Oh, el primo de ellas. El primo de ustedes. El primo de él, ella, or usted. And that covers all of the possibilities for su and sus. Again, I think it's worth mentioning that su is singular and sus is plural, but the way you determine which one to use is, what is the thing possessed? Here it's primo, it's singular, so we use su. If it's primos, it's sus primos. It has nothing to do with who's doing the possessing. Don't make that mistake. That's how English works. Okay, so that is the conclusion of my lesson on possessive adjectives. I hope you found that helpful, and I will see you in the next video.